On our 5th anniversary, I proposed to Lynn rewatching for the 5th time. But once again, she left me alone at the proposal venue for He Qing-yin. She said, "I'll indulge him this last time. He's sensitive. If he loses face in front of so many people, he'll definitely do something rash." Half an hour later, He Qing-yin posted on his social media, "Love has no first come, first served. The one who isn't loved is the third wheel." I didn't go find Lynn rewatching to question her as usual. I just calmly gave it a like. I told the system, I want to leave this world and go home. After Lynn rewatching left, I had the wedding company clean up the site and told everyone to leave. Anyway, I have no ties in this world. Everyone who came was her friend. She's the one who's embarrassed. When Lynn rewatching came back, I was negotiating with the system about when I could go home. She even brought the cake from the west side of the city that I liked the most, observing my expression while saying, "You understand today's situation." I couldn't refuse. But I promise you, this is really the last time. This kind of thing won't happen again at the next proposal. I understand. She's worried that He Qing-yin would do something rash if he lost face in front of so many people. But she had the heart to leave me at the proposal venue. What an irony. I've been with her for 5 years. We finally bought a house and a car and can enter the hall of marriage. But time and time again, she followed He Qing-yin and ran off, making me a joke to be discussed in my friend's free time. All because He Qing-yin chased her for 3 years and she felt like she owed him. When Lynn rewatching first started working at the hospital, she inadvertently helped him, and He Qing-yin fell in love with her at first sight. He sent fruits and coffee to the hospital every day without fail. Even knowing she had a boyfriend, he still confessed boldly. Lynn rewatching went from disliking and loathing him at first to now, when she mentions him, she has a helpless yet doting smile. Lynn rewatching put a piece of cake to my mouth and coaxed softly. "Still angry? I'll apologize." "Okay." I opened my mouth and ate the piece of cake, calmly saying, "I'm not angry." Hearing that, Lynn rewatching was stunned for a moment, like she didn't know what to say. Right now, my mind is full of how to discuss with the system again. I don't want to stay in this world for another month. I want to go home and eat the spicy hot pot from that shop at the end of the alley. My name is Lu Jinan, and I am a strategist. The first time I met Lynn rewatching, she was like a little son to everyone around her. As the top science student in the Lusher College entrance examination, she was admitted to M University. She was also very beautiful, attracting countless gazes wherever she went. So when the system told me that she was my target, I was lost, feeling like this mission was like asking me to reach for a star in the sky, but thinking that if I succeeded in the strategy, I could return to my original world and wake up healthy. I still did my best. The identity the system arranged for me was a classmate in the same year as her, but in a different major. I joined her street dance club and even took lessons outside of school. Every time the club had an activity, I would actively participate, just so she would glance at me a little more. But even when the club president said I had improved rapidly, Lynn rewatching didn't look at me more than once. Later, during one of their medical school's rural outreach activities, I signed up as a volunteer to participate. At that time, there was an old lady at the top of a mountain, and Lynn rewatching and another classmate went to treat her. But on the way, Lynn rewatching slipped and fell off a cliff. I, standing next to her, also fell down in an attempt to grab her. As we rolled down the mountain together, a sharp rock was about to hit her head. Careful, I used all my strength to protect her behind me, and the sharp rock ultimately hit my stomach. When the pain hit, I thought the worst outcome was that I would return to my original world and continue to be a vegetable in a coma. But saving a life was still worth it. While Lynn rewatching hugged me, waiting for rescue, she asked tremblingly, "Why are you so silly? You risked your own life to save someone else." I forced myself to cheer her up, jokingly saying, "Who told me to fall in love with you at first sight?" She was stunned for a moment, not responding, but just told me to hang in there. At the hospital, she took care of me around the clock until I recovered and was discharged. We were friends for 3 years, until a change in our situation during our senior year, when our relationship progressed. That year, her family had a sudden accident. Her parents died, and the family's company faced bankruptcy. In order to manage the family company, she intended to give up her dream of becoming a doctor. When she came to the school to complete the withdrawal procedures, I stopped her. "Lynn rewatching, are you willing to give up now?" Lynn rewatching laughed bitterly. "I'm not willing, but what else can I do? I can't let my parents' efforts go to waste." I looked at her seriously and firmly. "If you trust me, leave the company to me, and you focus on being a doctor. It just so happens that I'm studying management, so I'll treat it as an internship." She stared at me blankly for a few seconds, then suddenly hugged me tightly, and the tears that fell soaked my shoulder. Later, During that most difficult time, I balanced my studies while managing her company. Maybe there was a bug in the system, because I was very good at handling company affairs. And Lin Ruoqing's way of addressing me changed from Lu Jinan to Jinan, and then to Enan. The day Lin Ruoqing received her medical license, the system told me that the target's love for me had reached 100% and asked if I wanted to leave the world. I hesitated. That's right, because I had genuinely fallen in love with Lin Ruoqing during the strategy process. While I was struggling, Lin Ruoqing stood before a sky full of dazzling fireworks. Her dark eyes reflected the fireworks in the sky, and the love in her eyes was almost overflowing. And then, let's be together forever. Meeting her eyes full of love, the seed that had been planted in my heart long ago suddenly broke through the soil. So, after completing the mission, I stayed for her. But unexpectedly, everything changed later. The first time I proposed, He Qingyan knocked over the photo wall I had spent 3 days making. I was so angry I had tears in my eyes, but before I could say anything, he ran out like he had been wronged. Lin Ruoqing blamed me for making a big deal out of it, and then ran after him. The second time I proposed, He Qingyan ran over drunk, hugged Lin Ruoqing, and cried. And in the end, Lin Ruoqing sent him home. The fourth time, He Qingyan used different tricks to take Lin Ruoqing away. Until the 5th time I proposed, He Qingyan knelt in front of Lin Ruoqing, holding a ring he had made himself. Lin Ruoqing, I've been chasing after you for 4 years, and every time I confessed to you, it ended in failure. Today is the last time. If I still fail, I will never appear in front of you again. Lin Ruoqing, I really love you. Can you let me succeed just once? Lin Ruoqing hesitated. She looked back at me, a trace of struggle and guilt flashing in her eyes. And then I'm sorry, she explained to me softly. I want to be with Qingyan one last time. He's so awkward, and it would be so embarrassing to be rejected in front of so many people. He wouldn't be able to take it. As she said this, she turned around without hesitation and pulled He Qingyan away, like a scene from the idol dramas we often watched as kids. This time, I just watched them leave calmly, without chasing after them or getting tangled up like before. I took the fork from Lin Ruoqing's hand and ate the cake myself. She was a little surprised, seeming not to believe that I was so calm this time and not going to pursue the matter of today. After all, the previous 4 times I had been sad for a long time. At first, she would patiently coax me and apologize to me. Later, she would look at me impatiently. The proposal is just a formality. I'm not really going to be with him. What are you making a fuss about? Can't you just pity him and fulfill his wish? Sensing the change in my attitude, Lin Ruoqing pursed her lips and slightly softened her tone. Tomorrow morning, I'll take a day off and drive you to work. The hand holding the fork paused slightly, a wave of bitterness rising in my heart. In the original world, my parents died in a car accident, and later I also fell into a coma due to a car accident, so I developed a bit of post-traumatic stress disorder related to driving. That's why I liked Lin Ruoqing driving me around. I liked watching her focused expression while driving, like listening to her talk about things that happened at the hospital. But I don't know from when Lin Ruoqing became very busy. Busy sleeping in a little longer, busy exploring restaurants with He Qingyan, busy driving He Qingyan to work, busy with no time to drive me. Over time, I stopped asking her to drive me anywhere. I gently put down the fork and answered casually, "No need, I've already gotten my driver's license." Lin Ruoqing's face froze, and she looked up at me blankly. When did you get your driver's license? It was probably the time I braved the heavy rain to buy her the dorayaki she loved, and then develop a high fever in the middle of the night. Taking 2 doses of antipyretics didn't help. The heavy rain outside hadn't let up, and I couldn't get a taxi. I was so dizzy from the fever that I thought Lin Ruoqing was off today, so I called her to come back and take me to the hospital. But more than 10 calls went unanswered. Finally, an ambulance came and took me to the hospital. Passing by a ward, I saw He Qingyan grinning with a happy smile, while Lin Ruoqing, sitting by the bed, was scolding him impatiently. With this heavy rain, why did you run outside? You'd be lucky if you didn't fall and die. But her hand was gently examining his wound. I must have felt too uncomfortable from the fever. Tears unconsciously slipped from the corners of my eyes, bitter and sour. Remembering how she had taken care of me with the same soft-heartedness when I was hospitalized before. At that moment, I understood that He Qingyan was special to her. After that, I suddenly learned to be independent and no longer rely on her. After being discharged from the hospital, I mustered the courage to get my driver's license again. When I held the steering wheel and drove on the road, the uneasy feeling in my heart finally settled. I answered nonchalantly, "After the time I had a high fever and couldn't reach you, I went to get it." Lin Ruoqing's pupils constricted slightly. Her lips moved a few times, but she couldn't say anything. She knew that I had a phobia about driving, but she didn't know when I had overcome my fear or when I had stopped depending on her. Ignoring the lost look on her face, I got up, threw the cake box into the trash can, and went back to my room to sleep. Perhaps out of guilt, Lynn Ruwaching, who rarely cooked, personally made dinner for me. Seeing me return, she placed the last dish, spicy stir-fried crab, on the table, turned her head, and said to me gently, "You're back? Come and sit down and eat. These are all your favorite dishes." I walked to the dining table and sat down, looking at the table full of seafood, and suddenly felt itchy all over. She peeled a shrimp and put it in my bowl. "Eat." Looking at her expectant gaze, I said expressionlessly, "I don't like it." "Lou Jean." Lynn Ruwaching abruptly put down her chopsticks, frowned, and looked at me with eyes full of anger. The proposal was just a formality, and I was the one being proposed to. I didn't even mind. "Do you need to be so petty? As long as we're together, isn't that enough?" "I already explained to you. I agreed to Qingyin because I was afraid he would do something stupid if he couldn't accept it. It's a matter of life and death. How long are you going to keep making a fuss with me?" Listening to her accusations from the moral high ground, my heart felt desolate. After a moment, I recovered and calmly looked at her, explaining, "I've always been allergic to seafood. I only ate it with you because you liked it." Lynn Ruwaching was stunned, probably just remembering that every time we went to eat seafood, I was responsible for peeling it for her to eat, and rarely ate it myself. But before now, she hadn't noticed. She was a little awkward, stuttering, "But you used to eat it before," I said helplessly, "so every time I ate it, I would immediately take allergy medicine." Lynn Ruwaching felt even more guilty, looking at me helplessly. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. If you can't eat it, then we won't. I was just afraid you were angry about the proposal, so I wanted to explain it to you," I said calmly. "Yeah, I know. You're just friends with him." Then I got up and made myself a fried rice with egg. Lynn Ruwaching looked at me with complex emotions, her face suddenly turning very ugly. She stared at me for a long time, seeming to think my reaction didn't match her expectations, but she couldn't get angry. After a long silence, she dropped the sentence, "It's good that you understand the principle." Then she got up and returned to the bedroom. Lynn Ruwaching, seeing that I hadn't been as clingy to her recently, and could even go a whole day without contacting her, had been giving me the cold shoulder for several days. She was waiting for me to take the initiative to soften and to lower my head to coax her, because every previous argument and every Cold War had ended with me giving in. Over time, it seemed she had gotten used to it, thinking it was only natural. But since the day I decided to leave this world, I no longer cared about her attitude, and even felt relieved by her indifference. I started writing up the handover documents for the work I was currently managing, preparing for my departure. This was also my last gift to Lynn Ruwaching. I used my savings over the years to buy a lot of clothes, fruit, and health supplements, and drove them to the old folks' home in the south of the city. Many elderly people without children lived there. Standing at the entrance, looking at the grandparents I hadn't seen in a long time, I couldn't help feeling a little sad thinking that I wouldn't see these elders again. This was an old folks' home that Lynn Ruwaching and I often visited. Whenever we had free time, we would come here to see the grandparents and listen to their stories from the past. While I was feeling down, a cheerful old grandpa came over, took my hand, and said kindly, "Little Lou, you're here again. Why do you look so unhappy today?" The other grandparents also gathered around. Suddenly, one grandmother looked behind me and asked curiously, "Little Lou, why are you alone today? Where's your girlfriend, Ching Ching?" Just as I was about to explain, Lynn Ruwaching's voice suddenly appeared behind me. "Grandpa, Grandma, I want to park the car. Did you miss me?" I turned around and saw Lynn Ruwaching standing there holding 2 bags of fruit, staring intently at me. After handing out the items, the grandparents invited us to stay for dinner. At the dinner table, perhaps due to their life experience, many of the elderly people could see that something was wrong between Lynn Ruwaching and me. One grandmother took Lynn Ruwaching's hand. "Ching Ching, over the years, little Lou has borne all that pressure for you. You two have been through so much together. You must treat little Lou well, or you'll regret it when it's too late." Hearing the grandmother's words, Lynn Ruwaching seemed to recall some things from the past. Her eyes flickered with guilt and a hint of barely perceptible unease as she looked at me. Before leaving, she held my hand, and then I saw that your favorite theater actor has a show tonight, and I've already bought tickets. I'll go with you. Before she finished speaking, her phone rang. She looked at the screen, a little flustered, and then hung up. But the next second it rang again. Lynn Ruwaching hesitated for a long time before finally answering. "Senior, I lost a game, and they said that if you don't come over, I have to eat all the chili peppers on the table." He Qingyin's flustered voice came through the receiver. Lynn Ruwaching didn't immediately agree as she had in the past. She glanced at me standing to the side, looking conflicted. He Qingyan, seeing that Lin Ruoqing didn't speak, sobbed twice. Senior, you're busy. At the same time, cheers of young people came through the receiver. Eat it. Hurry up and eat it. You have to honor the bet. Lin Ruoqing immediately got anxious and yelled towards the phone. Don't force him. I'll be over right away. After hanging up, she cautiously said, Anin, He Qingyan has run into some trouble. I'll go help him sort it out. She held my hand, promising me resolutely. I'll be back soon. I won't miss the play with you. I inconspicuously pulled my hand away and said calmly, be safe on the road. A half-hearted change of heart is like pouring a bucket of water into a vast desert. Meaningless. However, I had no expectations of her anymore. As we looked at each other, Lin Ruoqing suddenly hugged me, and then turned and left. At 10 o'clock in the evening, the play ended. My favorite stage actor's last tour performance of the year was also over. Lin Ruoqing didn't come back. She probably won't be back tonight. Maybe it was because of unwillingness, or perhaps the anger of not seeing the performance tonight. My tolerance suddenly reached its limit. Even though I could leave soon, I went to the restaurant where they often gathered for dinner, and after entering, I searched room by room. Finally, I saw them in the largest private room. Before I even entered, I heard a burst of cheering from inside. Through the crack in the door, I clearly saw He Qingyan with a bit of tissue in his mouth, leaning down to kiss Lin Ruoqing, who was sitting down. And Lin Ruoqing was stunned for a moment. But in the instant he leaned in, she took the initiative to raise her head and kiss him back. My heart felt like it was being repeatedly pierced by countless needles, a dense pain that made it impossible to breathe. Just as tears were about to fall, I raised my hand to wipe my face and directly pushed the door open, heading towards them. The moment I entered, all eyes in the room were drawn to me. Slap! A sudden, crisp sound rang out. Lin Ruoqing's face was turned to the side, and it quickly swelled up. He Qingyan cursed angrily, grabbed my arm, and pushed me away. Lu Jinan, what the hell are you doing? Why are you hitting people? I looked at him, without a trace of hesitation, raised my foot and kicked her to the ground. He Qingyan seemed to be shocked by me, sitting on the ground, looking at me in disbelief. Lin Ruoqing's scattered gaze finally focused a bit. She stood up unsteadily and reached out to me. Anan. Hearing those two words come from her mouth, I almost threw up. I picked up the wine on the table and splashed it hard on her face. Looking at the wine dripping from her hair and clothes, the anger in my heart had not subsided in the slightest. Lin Ruoqing, let's break up. I'm quitting this three-person game. After saying this, I left without looking back. I was really tired and didn't want to play this childish game with her anymore. Whatever happens, let it be. After arriving home, I just packed some important items and personal clothing. I didn't want anything else. I wouldn't need them in the future anyway. After opening the door, Lin Ruoqing was standing at the entrance, panting and holding her keys. When she saw the suitcase I was carrying, she anxiously explained. Anin, it's not what you saw. We were just playing a game, just a game. Please don't be angry, okay? Everyone was playing. I can't be unsociable and not play, right? If you don't like it, I won't play with them anymore, okay? Every word she said didn't seem to acknowledge anything wrong on her part, as if it was me who was being unreasonable, as if I couldn't handle it. How come I didn't realize before that she was such a self-centered person? What you do is none of my business anymore. Please move aside. Lu Jinan, can't you guys stop being so petty? I already said it was just a game. Lin Ruoqing's patience ran out, and she yelled impatiently at me. I sneered. She would never admit that she was wrong. She was always right. The person I had loved for so long, I didn't know when, had started to fester inside, had begun to stink. I suddenly said, Lin Ruoqing, if I were like this with Jiang Shurha, would you still say it's just a game? Lin Ruoqing paused for a moment, and then remembered who Jiang Shurha was. Before I got together with Lin Ruoqing, Jiang Shurha had confessed to me. The day I rejected her, I treated her to a meal. After coming out, I ran into Lin Ruoqing. She had walked over with a dark face to question me about my relationship with Jiang Shurha. Looking at Lin Ruoqing's expression slowly turning panicked, I chuckled. Lin Ruoqing, so that phrase, it's just a game, is just for deceiving yourself. But I don't care anymore. We're over. I didn't expect Lin Ruoqing to keep pestering me. She humbly admitted her mistake and repeatedly promised that she wouldn't contact He Qingyan again. I didn't understand what she was thinking. Clearly, she didn't love me anymore, so why was she still so entangled? She even brought up the grandparents in the nursing home, making me ache all over with anger. I had no choice but to ignore her, treating her like she was invisible. Lin Ruoqing seemed possessed by something unclean. She brought me meals every day and also sent me flowers and gifts, always with new variations. It was like our positions had reversed. Now it was her constantly sending me messages, sharing her daily life and saying sweet nothings to me. It was her waiting for me to come home. No matter how late I came back, I would see her waiting figure at the hotel entrance. I sighed helplessly. There's no need to wait for me. You should go home. But her eyes reddened. How can I sleep if you're not home? Hearing those familiar words, I suddenly remembered so many nights in the past when I had waited for her to come home and said the same thing. Lin rewatching, you know how unpleasant it feels to wait, right? But you can't even stand it after waiting for a few days, while I waited for you for years. A week later, I wanted to go travel, but I realized my passport was left at home. With no other choice, I had to go back to get it. Just as I finished getting my passport and was about to leave, Lin rewatching returned. Seeing me go back, she thought I was no longer angry and reached out to hug me and went on her tiptoes to kiss me. I pushed her away and quickly took a few steps back. She was pushed and lost her balance and fell to the ground. Lin rewatching finally exploded in anger. Have you made enough of a fuss? I really don't understand. Nothing happened between me and He Qingyan. So why do you have to break up with me? I have already apologized to you humbly and promised that there wouldn't be a next time. What more do you want? The look in her eyes was full of accusation. So she had always thought I was just being unreasonable. In her mind, as long as she didn't sleep with He Qingyan, it didn't count as cheating. I found it a bit ridiculous, so I actually laughed. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, she took the initiative to approach me and said softly, Okay, and let's not fight anymore, okay? You said you don't like the Cold War. Let's make up. I remained silent for a long time and finally agreed. I made a request. Okay, as long as you delete He Qingyan and don't contact him until the end of this month, I won't break up with you. The end of the month is when I'm going home. By then, whether we break up or not won't matter anymore. When I was haggling with the system, I had questioned why I had to wait until a month later to leave. The system said, that day is your birthday. I was speechless. The system was awesome, turning my birthday into a death anniversary. But then I remembered my birthday 5 years ago, when Lin Ruoqing insisted that I make a wish to stay together forever, never to separate until death. Now, before death, her heart had already changed. Lin Ruoqing didn't hesitate at all. Right in front of me, she blocked and deleted all of He Qingyan's contact information. I also moved back home. She even took a year off work to stay home with me, all to avoid He Qingyan. She started planning a proposal. She said this time she would propose to me, guaranteeing there wouldn't be any accidents, and asked me to believe in her one more time. Lin Ruoqing scheduled the proposal for the end of the month, on my birthday. I guess fate had already arranged it. Everything was destined. The wish I made 5 years ago came true this year. On the day of the proposal, I carefully groomed myself and put on the suit that Lin Ruoqing liked the most. When Lin Ruoqing knelt on one knee, her eyes were full of love, just like they were under the fireworks 5 years ago. If He Qingyan hadn't messaged me yesterday, I would have really thought that today would go smoothly. So when I saw He Qingyan enter with a knife to his wrist, I wasn't surprised at all. He yelled at Lin Ruoqing, breaking down, Why? Why are you proposing to him? Do you love him that much? Can't you love me? Shut up. Lin Ruoqing held my hand tightly, glaring coldly at He Qingyan. Today I am proposing to Unin, and I won't allow anyone to ruin it. If I could have felt her hand, the one holding mine, trembling slightly, I would have truly believed it. Lin Ruoqing was lying. He Qingyan smiled bitterly, the light in his eyes seemingly extinguished in that instant. Okay then, I wish you happiness. I wish you both happiness. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. He turned and walked out dejected. It was as if he had lost all meaning in life. The knife in his hand sliced across his wrist, and a few drops of blood fell. He Qingyan, what are you doing? Lin Ruoqing instinctively called out to him. But He Qingyan didn't turn back, resolutely saying, I'm going to a place where you aren't. Then he drove away. He Qingyan, seemingly unaffected, continued facing me, saying, Are you willing? Are you willing, Tamar? Before she could say the last word, she suddenly took back the ring and with a hoarse voice said to me, I'm sorry. I'm a doctor and I can't just watch him die. After Lin Ruoqing said this, she prepared to chase after He Qingyan. I grabbed her hand. If you leave this time, you will never see me again. Are you sure you want to abandon me for the 6th time? Actually, I didn't understand why I was asking a question that I already knew the answer to. Maybe I just wanted to give the me in this world an ending, even if it wasn't a good one. Lin Ruoqing stopped, and the last trace of guilt in her eyes disappeared, replaced by reproach. Lu Jinan, you've changed. You used to be so kind. You would save stray cats and dogs. Now, is a human life not worth more than a cat or dog? You've disappointed me so much. After speaking, she shook off my hand and rushed out. Watching her back as she left at light speed, I finally gave up. System, Didn't you say last time that I could choose how I die? I've decided. Then I'll die from a sudden heart attack. Lynn Ruwaching is the deputy director of cardiology. I wonder what her reaction will be when she finds out about this. Just after speaking to the system, I felt my breathing become difficult, my consciousness blurry. The moment I collapsed, I heard the screams of the people around me, and then I completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was already floating in the air of the hospital. Watching the medical staff perform CPR on my body, I felt a bit novel. At this time, a doctor walked in with a phone. Director Lynn, there's a patient with an acute myocardial infarction who needs surgery. Is it convenient for you to come back now? Lynn Ruwaching's voice came from the receiver. I'm sorry, it's not my on-call day today, and I'm not in this city. I only then realized that I had been sent to the hospital where Lynn Ruwaching worked. Just as she finished refusing, the monitor in front of my bed showed a straight line. The system said to me, "Let's go, host. I'll take you to watch a show." The next second I saw He Ching-yin cupping Lynn Ruwaching's face and kissing her. The system was even angrier than I was. This scumbag woman, she's really hopeless. Host, you just endure a little longer. I can take you home soon. After they finished kissing, Lynn Ruwaching told He Ching-yin to wait for her obediently, and then went back to the proposal site to find me. On her way back, she suddenly felt a great panic in her heart, as if something important was about to leave her. She couldn't help but slam on the accelerator, wanting to see me sooner. She didn't even park the car properly and searched everywhere for my figure. There were only a few staff members tidying up the place. She grabbed a staff member's hand and asked anxiously, "Where's my boyfriend? Where did my boyfriend go? Has anyone seen him?" The staff member was startled and was about to say something when Lynn Ruwaching's phone rang. She visibly breathed a sigh of relief and immediately answered it. But the next second she froze, because it was a call from the hospital. "Hello, is this Miss Lynn Ruwaching? This is the Central City Hospital." Her hand gripping the phone was trembling with excessive force, her knuckles white, as she said with difficulty, "Yes, it is." On the other end of the line, a businesslike tone said, "Miss Lynn, your friend Lu Jinan passed away due to sudden myocardial infarction and failed resuscitation. Since you were listed as his emergency contact, we ask you to handle his funeral arrangements." Lynn Ruwaching stared at the staff member, muttering to herself, "How is that possible? Impossible. Anin is so healthy. How could he suddenly have a heart attack? And it must be angry, playing a prank on me, right? He was just fine a moment ago." The staff member suddenly spat at her, finally unable to hold back. "Isn't it because of you? On the day of the proposal, you left your boyfriend for someone else. He was too emotional. He died of a sudden heart attack. Your boyfriend was really unlucky to meet you." Lynn Ruwaching's body trembled uncontrollably, murmuring nonstop, "Impossible. This is impossible." It seemed she couldn't believe that I was dead. I coldly watched this scene. The system complained, "Scumbag woman, there's still more suffering for you." When I followed Lynn Ruwaching to the entrance of the hospital morgue, I brushed past two nurses. I heard that this man was proposed to by his girlfriend today. It's such a pity that something like this happened on such a happy day. Yeah, he was still salvageable when he was sent here, but the director of cardiology was in surgery, and their deputy director happened to be out of town. The cardiologist had just hung up the phone when he passed away. Lynn Ruwaching was struck as if by lightning. She remembered that the patient she had just rejected was me. What was she doing at that time? She was kissing He Ching-yin, patiently comforting him. And for that, she refused to come back for surgery. The nurses said that the patient suddenly died after the phone call was hung up. She was the murderer who killed Anin. She killed Anin for another man. Lynn Ruwaching sat down painfully at the entrance of the morgue, finally hugging her knees and breaking down in tears. The medical staff inside came out. "Are you the deceased F.A.? Deputy Director Lynn, are you here?" Lynn Ruwaching tried several times before she could stand up. "I'm here to take Lu Jinan home." The medical staff was stunned for a moment and said, "Please accept my condolences," before helping her inside. She looked at my body covered by a white sheet, her hands trembling so much that she could barely lift it. Only when her fingernails dug in her flesh did she steady her wrist and lift the white sheet covering my face. In an instant, tears poured down her face, and she cried my name with a heart-rending wail. Wake up. Aren't you most afraid of the cold? Let's go home, okay? Get up, let's go home. Don't ignore me. You said we'd never be apart through life, old age, sickness, and death. You can't leave me." She cried with a hoarse voice, like a child who had made a mistake. One tear after another fell on my face. I felt a disgusting wave of goosebumps. I asked the system, "Do you think she has some kind of multiple personality disorder? It does seem like it's an illness. It needs to be treated." I hugged my arms, sighing, "When can I finally escape from this world?" The system comforted me. Soon, you'll be able to go back the day she gets your urn. Finally, the day Lin Ruoqing went to have me cremated arrived. When He Qingyan saw her come out, he hurriedly followed her. Senior, you're finally out. You scared me to death. You locked yourself inside, not eating or drinking. You'll ruin your health. I cooked something. Why don't you eat something? I know that Lu Jinan's matter makes you sad, but it was just an accident, and it has nothing to do with you. I'll always be by your side. Hearing my name, Lin Ruoqing finally reacted. Her eyes, filled with bloodshot veins, stared at him. Then suddenly she raised her hand and knocked over the thermos that He Qingyan was holding. Its contents spilled all over her. She roared at He Qingyan like a madwoman. Get out! You are not worthy to mention his name. If you hadn't been pressuring me, how could I have left an inn? How could an inn have become so agitated and have a sudden heart attack? Aren't you going to die? Why aren't you going yet? Go die. He Qingyan's face turned ugly as he listened to Lin Ruoqing's words. Finally, his eyes turned red, and he ran away. Lin Ruoqing seemed to have had all her strength drained away. She walked down the street like a zombie. The moment she received the urn, it started to rain outside. She hugged the urn and wept in the rain. And then I love you, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I love you. Please come back. I can't live without you. I covered my ears and ran into the portal that the system had opened for me. System, goodbye. Lin Ruoqing suddenly stopped crying and looked up at the sky, but saw nothing. From the beginning, Lin Ruoqing had disliked and loathed me. But later, when she mentioned me, a helpless, yet doting smile would appear at the corner of her lips. After poor me returned to the original world, I quickly woke up from my coma. The doctors all said it was a miracle. After a month of rehabilitation, I was finally discharged from the hospital and went home. When passing a lottery shop, I remembered a line on the internet. After leaving a Janana scum man, everything goes smoothly. Then, if I leave a Janir, a scum woman, will I also have the same effect? Thinking of this, I went into the lottery shop and bought a set of random numbers, waiting for tonight's draw. After eating everything I wanted to eat, I saw a trending topic on the internet. The 5 million double color ball winner has not yet come forward to claim the prize. I quickly took out the lottery ticket and checked the winning numbers. The next second, I couldn't help but scream, 5 million. A whole 5 million. While I was happy and confused, the system appeared. Host, this is a gift from me to you. I hope you like it. Oh, right, Lin Ruoqing committed suicide, holding your urn. I immediately stopped the system from continuing. I don't want to hear any more about her. Whether she lives or dies has nothing to do with me. The system laughed. Okay, host, this is really goodbye this time. I wish you peace and prosperity in the future. Goodbye, system. I really like the gift. I looked at the lottery ticket in my hand. Sure enough, in the face of money, the injuries I had suffered before were not worth mentioning. Alas, I'm really superficial. But now I'm healthy and have money. There's nothing better than that in this world. Good days in the future are waiting for me.